Hi, Bladder Relief Group. It's Dr. McJunkin. I am so glad to be with you guys today. Um, Today, we're going to talk about some of the exciting people that we have that we've helped and given hope to and restored quality of life. And we're also going to talk about why that is so important for people. And as many of you know, I think many of you in this group are suffering or know somebody who's suffering with a bladder problem. I think that you guys are well aware that bladder problems actually have a significant impact on the quality of your life. And so, what we generally have seen, and what the research really shows, is that if you have a bladder problem, it affects your quality of life the same as if you had severe rheumatoid arthritis. And they look at several different factors, but some of those factors might include sleep. And for many people with a bladder problem, they are stumbling at nighttime to get to the bathroom in a rush or in a hurry, or they're having accidents at nighttime, or they're just simply not sleeping well. And we're going to have another live session where we talk all about sleep, and it's something that I'm actually very passionate about and would love to hear more about your stories. But that actually becomes a significant risk factor for people. The other risk factor is urgency, and it really is a risk when you have a severe urge to go and you have limited amount of time. It actually becomes a really great falling risk for people. And so we know that falling is one of the biggest killers actually for people who are age 65 and older. And so that is actually becomes a very significant problem and severe risk for people. The other thing we look at is the ability or desire, I would say, to leave the house and to engage in social activities. And what we generally find is oftentimes people with bladder problems, and we also treat bowel problems too, but those people begin to shrink more and more back into, you might say, their shell. Now, there are some very bold people who are like, screw this, I'm not going to let this hold me back. And I think that's fantastic. But I would say for the vast majority of people, it becomes an embarrassing problem. And it becomes tricky sometimes to leave the house, to go on road trips. Even the boldest people, it becomes hard and difficult to go on airplanes and those kinds of things where you might not have easy access to a bathroom. So if frequency and urgency are one of your problems, you can probably relate to that. Like, oh yeah, that's very difficult. Some of the patients that we've treated include those people who are travel agents and who travel frequently. One of the ladies that I talked to, she was a travel agent. It was fun talking to her because she's been to almost every single cool country in the world, and so she told me all about places that I haven't been. What is Egypt like in certain parts of Asia, and she's been everywhere and led tours. And she said a few years ago she had to give up on, even though it was kind of the best part of her career, give up on leading those tours because she couldn't go on any international plane trips because of the bathroom. And she said she started strategically making sure that she was sitting kind of close to a bathroom and in an aisle seat, but even still she had to give that up. I heard a very similar story to somebody who was a flight attendant, and she had basically the same problem. She said, it just became too hard for me because I felt like I was always in and out of the bathroom and I couldn't serve the customers on the plane. So what we know is that having a bladder problem really affects the quality of your overall life. The other big thing is it affects your confidence and how willing you are to get out there and do things and be active, for fear that you might have a problem or might not have easy access to a bathroom. One of my favorite kind of early patients was a lady, and she really educated me about the problems that she was facing. So she was a professional, a younger woman, and she had to drive for her job. And so it wasn't a long commute, but maybe 30 minutes. And so she said every day when she was going home, kind of the 5 o'clock traffic thing, she was always scared that there was going to be an accident. And she would always kind of look and make sure, what the time was to get to her destination, because she was fearful if there was an accident, she couldn't get off the highway and couldn't find a bathroom in time to use the restroom. And it was interesting for me just because I had never thought about that and thought how difficult and how easily we take some of those simple things for granted. And I think many of you watching this might, agree with those things. One of my other kind of favorites, she is a full-time RVer, so she's always on the road. And so she's a bundle of energy and a bundle of fun. And so it was fun to learn from her all the places that she was traveling and going to and experiencing. I'm going to talk about a couple of kind of recent people that I saw. One of them I just saw today. And so she is just newly done with, she did we talked about this last time, it's called the sacral neuromodulation, but she had a trial and then she just recently had the implant. So she's 2 weeks out from that. And so she was having multiple accidents per day, embarrassing accidents that she was concerned and scared about, and averaging probably about 5 in her words. So when she saw us today, she reports that she's no longer having any accidents. And so that obviously is a massive win. She lives several hours from where we are in Phoenix. So she has to drive 3 to 4 hours coming in to see us and 3 to 4 hours going back. And she also said her urgency before she started the therapy was kind of a severe ranking, and we rank that as a 4 out of 4, and so that's the worst it can be. And so her ranking was very, very severe, where if she had to go to the bathroom, she had minutes to find a restroom before she would have an accident. And so now her ranking is 1 out of 4, which is normal. Oh, I feel like I have to go to the bathroom. I have all the time in the world. I'm not worried. And by the way, that other lady that I told you about who was driving home from work, that was one of the biggest benefits she had, as she felt like, now I have confidence. I'm not worried about the traffic or if there's an accident. I know that I'm not going to have a problem. I know that I don't have to find an emergency bathroom. I can get to my house and make it home. So she was one of the massive successes, and she went also to having multiple leaks to having no leaks. And she had a very, very bold personality. And so what was fun about her is she was kind of younger, but she wasn't afraid to tell every single person that she met that she had this problem. She's kind of the poster child. She had this problem, and now she doesn't have this problem, and she's living the life of freedom that she always wanted. Back to the lady that I saw today, the other benefit she's having is she's not wearing any pads at all. And so for her, and for a lot of people, pads actually become, uncomfortable over time. I talked to a lady this week, and she was saying, I went through menopause, and I was just thinking, I'm so glad that I don't have to wear pads for a monthly cycle. And now all of a sudden I'm wearing pads for this incontinence issue. And she's like, I traded one pad for the other, and it didn't seem like a good trade. And again, that was eye-opening for me. I see that kind of thing every day, but I actually don't think about the implications of that. And I've had multiple people talk to me about the cost, short and long-term costs of, pads, diapers, other sorts of devices to help them, and those are actually quite expensive. The lady that I saw today, she had worked kind of as a caregiver in the past, so she had taken care of elderly people. And so for her, she saw a lot of people who have had incontinence issues and cognitive problems. And she really recognized early on, if I develop those problems, I want to get those taken care of quickly, because I don't want them to kind of scale out of control where I'm not able to get control over those. And I would say generally, we do see people that have had this problem for 20, 30 years. But generally, most problems are a little bit easier to treat the sooner you kind of address those rather than waiting. But we have success kind of either way. And then she also talked about, I think it was her daughter or granddaughter who was like a dancer, and she was unable to, see her. And so that was something she was interested in doing now that she's had some success. Another lady that I saw today that was actually a lot of fun. She just went through the implant procedure, and so she was actually super fun because, let me check here, she was super fun because she's super active, and so she's in her late 60s, but very, very active. And so she was one of those people that, if she has a bladder problem, it's not going to slow her down. And so it was fun listening to her just in her recovery. So she just had the implant procedure about 2 weeks ago. And so she's still kind of healing up from that. And she's actually healed really well. But during those first 3 to 5 days, we kind of tell people, take it easy a little bit, let your body heal. You're going to have just a little bit of pain and discomfort, and try and get over that. Well, she's one of those people who would not listen to that, and so she told me about some adventures she went on just in that early healing phase. And so it involved, I think, going with her husband and her granddaughter, and they were riding quads and off-road little things across sand dunes. And anyways, it sounded really awesome, and I haven't had a chance to do those kinds of things. I'm sure my kiddos would love that. But it was just so cool to hear somebody that we just actually helped with the therapy, and she's like, I'm going for it. I'm going to live my dreams and do all the things that I want to do. We are going to jump into, and I think I'll stop right here and just say, I would love to hear your guys' stories. What are the things that you've done? What are the things that you've had to give up because maybe you've had a bladder problem? How have you adjusted your life? And what are the things that, really what are the things that you would like to do? And I think those are really good dreams and goals. And I like for people to think about those things like, after I gain control over this bladder problem, I want to go on a trip to Europe, or I want to travel and go on a cruise with my family to Alaska, or I want to be able to drive up and see my kids in Texas. Whatever it might be, I'd love to hear what you want to do, what you've been held back from doing, and how you've kind of overcome things yourselves, because I think at the end of the day, all of you guys are overcomers. Finally, I will end with just the thought that in the next couple weeks, we're going to kind of dive deeply into some of those problems that people with bladder problems specifically face that are unique to that group of people. And so we'll talk about urgency, we'll talk about frequency, we'll talk about accidents, and then we'll talk about nocturia and nighttime urination. I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and it's always so nice to connect with you guys. God bless you guys, and I really appreciate our interactions. If you guys have any questions or would like to learn more about what we do, we'd love to tell you. I love helping people who have this problem. Most people who have these issues have no idea that this kind of help is available. The one last thing I'll say, and I haven't really mentioned it much, but a lot of people who have bladder problems also have fecal problems, and so they'll have bowel incontinence. And so I've had the chance to take care of quite a few people with bowel incontinence, and that's actually been extremely rewarding too. And so that is a lot of fun. Yeah, so I took care of a gentleman, and of course, he's embarrassed about that issue and doesn't want to talk about that issue. He's younger. He is single right now, and he's interested in dating, and he's like, I don't know how I'm going to do it because of this particular issue. I think some of you guys can relate to that, whether that's your bladder or your bowel. We just implanted his system, but when he tried it out, he got 100% relief, wasn't having any more accidents, and so for him, that really is a ticket to live his dreams and do all the things that he wants to do. And so I guess all saying that, I love taking care of people who feel like there's not hope, that they've tried other things, and that this is really interfering with their quality of life. And I'd love to learn more about your story and figure out the best way that we can get you the help that you need to. God bless you guys. That's all for today, and we'll talk again soon. Thanks so much.